A star could mean a variety of things to people. A shooting star? A film star? Well, it's always a thing that makes you wish, to aspire. Aim for the stars, they say. And in the automotive world, it's much the same. The desire for the three-pointed star, to be precise. Mercedes-Benz has always been known to be the pinnacle of luxury, with the S-Class winning the title of the best car in the world many times over.
So why am I talking about the S-Class when I'm on the C-Class test drive? Well, this new C-Class is even more like the S-Class than before. The interiors, a lot of equipment that comes from it. It literally is a baby S. So let's take a look, shall we?
The lineage is clear. The shorter overhangs, the angular front and the slimmer lamps are similar to the S. The bonnet now has power bulges and the grille shape is more oval. While the regular car gets the vertical slats, the AMG line gets a star pattern on the grille. The DRLs are more angular, and while the air dam area remains like a bow tie and is a bit larger, the sides are closed. Around the side, the glasshouse has a more lean back look and the crease lines are sharper, with the one on the shoulders moving closer to the window line. The 17-inch twin-spoke alloys look smart and are shod with 225/50 rubber. The rear bumper has a softer look now, and here too the lamps are more angular and slimmer. The C-Class has grown in size too. The car is now 65mm longer overall, and 25mm of that is added between the wheels. It's 10mm wider and the ground clearance is up 7mm too. All the power bulges and sharp lines have made the C more muscular, and it does look stately and handsome.
Inside the cabin, it is a world of luxury, as it always was, but now even more so because this really resembles the S-Class. It has moved notches above, especially if you look at this central console area. Gone is that horizontally oriented screen which stuck out of the dash. You now have this portrait style screen which cascades down into this piano black and is exactly like it is in the S-Class. Even the finishes on the dash, like if you look at this pinstripe finish over here, it's like the Maybach. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this. To me, it looks very much like a suit, but I guess it suits different tastes. You've got a lot of chrome on the dash as well, the rotary air vents, 11.9-inch touchscreen and 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. And all of the details on this are crisp, they're sharp, they're clear. Even the reverse camera has a really good resolution. And if you want to know more about this, how the MBUX system works, what the music system is like, well, click on the link on your screen right now, because the editor of our sister channel Stuff is giving you a detailed review on how all of the functions of the MBUX system, the new system, works, and the app, and of course the music system as well. Now, as far as practicality goes, there's good enough room in the door pockets. They're nice and deep, and you can even get a 1-liter bottle into it. In the central console, you have cup holders over here, and you have a vertical slot for the phone. However, the wireless charging slot is a bit tucked away and hard to access on the inside. However, you can always see whether the phone is charging or not, and that's displayed right up here on the infotainment screen. You have a single USB-C port over there. In the central bin, which is nice and deep, you have 2 more USB-C ports over here. And these are the ones that the back seat passengers will have to use as well, because there are no ports for the back seat. What's really nice is this kind of floating appearance, not only on the touchscreen, but also on everything that's in the car. I mean, the instrument panel, whether you talk about the panel that houses the touch functions to open the sunroof, whether you talk about the door panels for the seat adjustment buttons, whether you talk about the handles, everything has this floating appearance with ambient lighting behind it. So that's a really nice touch on the cabin as well. But for the rest, everything around this cabin has now become touch. I mean, it's more modern. Whether you talk about the sunroof, that's just a touch slider. Whether you talk about the buttons to access the modes, There's a central panel over here which when you press it, the entire panel actually depresses, but of course it accesses only the functions that you're touching upon at that moment. It has the mode, it has the camera, it has the car functions, it has your hazard lights, and of course there's a slider for volume control which works pretty well as well. On the steering wheel, everything is touch. Once again, the left side functions access the infotainment, the right side functions access everything on your digital instrument display. I'm not sure that I really like them. You have to get used to the swipe and the press, and it's not entirely intuitive. Accessing functions on the go is not easy, as it's not like a button where you have muscle memory, and so it requires taking your eyes off the road, and I didn't really like that. Even the seat buttons themselves have become capacitive, so they're not like before where you had that haptic feedback and you could feel it move and you knew exactly which was the function you were accessing. The sole rotary knob in this cabin is really the one for the lights, but yeah, otherwise everything is more modern, it's more touch now, it's all new age. The front seats are comfortable and the side bolstering holds you in well. There's also a large glass area, which means visibility is good. Overall, the cabin looks rich and is luxurious. Let's take a look at the feature list and the safety features as well. The boot space is less than before, and the spare tire sits here and does take up a lot of space. You could, however, get in one large suitcase and a trolley. The advantage here is that you can flip the rear seats down at the touch of a button and open up more room in a 60-40 split. Well, in the back seat, you now have lots of more space. 21 millimeters of that increased 25 millimeters in the wheelbase has been allotted to the back seat, is what we're given to believe, and there is far more leg room than before. You've also got lots of space to stretch your legs out. So yeah, backseat passengers can get comfortable. But under thigh support is still a little short. I'm not very tall, it's still a little short for me. And you do sit quite low to the ground. The central tunnel is very, very high. So third passengers won't be extremely comfortable in this. But when you're two, you do have the central armrest, and there's an interesting feature here. One slide out and you have a slot for your phone, two slides out, and it also has cup holders and you can see your phone and access all the functions, etc. So that's pretty convenient as well, and that's a nice touch. Of course, you have the dual pane panoramic sunroof, which makes the space feel nice and open and airy. You've got rotary vents, you've got small slots here for storage, you've got back seat pockets, but there are no USB ports for the backseat passengers. You'll have to access the ones in front. And I have to say once again over here, these floating handles are really nice. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable too. Rear headroom is adequate, and there is a third headrest as well for the middle passenger. There are sunblinds too for added comfort. The rear of the C-Class is quite an improvement over the previous in terms of space. The new C will come with 3 engine options, all of which have 48-volt integrated starter generator, which essentially means it's a mild hybrid. And it gets electrical assist at startup and at low speeds. It gives an additional 20 HP and 200 Nm of torque. Now, it's the first time that this tech makes its debut on a diesel engine in India. There is a C200 petrol, which is a 1.5-litre turbo with 204 HP and 300 Nm of torque. There's also a C220D, which is a 2-litre mill with 200 HP and 440 Nm of torque. This also does duty in a higher state of tune in the C300D, which has 265 HP and 550 Nm of torque. Now, all engines get the integrated starter motor and the boost from the ISG. For my drive, I had the C200 petrol. Now, I've only really had hilly sections to test this engine in, so I can tell you initial response is really good.
The electric assist from the ISG at lower speeds really makes a smoother power build-up. It's only when you flatten your foot to the floor and the engine has to do all the work that you realize it is a smaller capacity engine, and it does take a tick to get going. But once it does, it's all smooth sailing.
If anything, the 9-speed gearbox is a bit slow to react, but then one dab on the paddles and you have an instant shift. But I don't know about the top end and how it breathes on a highway, and when we get to a flatter section of road, I hope to talk about that.
What I can tell you more about is the way this car handles.
Now, the winding sections of road around Dehradun and Mussoorie have given us a chance to really check the handling out of the new C-Class, and I have to say I am enjoying this on the twisties. The steering, while light and easy when you're on slow-moving traffic, weighs up really nicely around the corners, points the nose exactly where you want it to go. The car itself feels nice and agile.
Body control is excellent and changes of direction come so easily. The steering is quick off center and it all comes together to make the C-Class feel very light on its feet.
And so yeah, a winding section of road is really fun. As you can see, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself.
What I did not enjoy was the automatic emergency brake system. It's way too aggressive for Indian conditions, and it brakes super hard, throwing you forward, and then the seatbelt tightens and holds you back, so it's quite a jolt. And when I needed to turn the system off, I had to go through many toggles and swipes on the steering, which made me look away from the road, and finally I just stopped and accessed the menu on the infotainment screen and switched it off.
Ride quality is pretty well damped at low speeds, but as you pick up the pace, it does veer to the firmer side and it gets caught out by bumps and potholes and it does thud through them.
Ride has improved over the previous version, and when we say firmer, this is in reference to the competition. On its own, this is still a fine riding car and it is comfortable for passengers. The winding section soon ended and we found a really nice open empty stretch of road leading up to a stadium that had no other traffic, and it allowed us to really open up the car.
Finally, some open empty stretches to stretch the legs of the C-Class on, and I have to say it does feel pretty quick. Yep, as you can see, I'm already past the speed limit in just a flash.
Power build-up is not punchy, but it is still strong. However, the trick here is not to flatten your foot right down to the floor. That's when the engine fully takes over and the ISG doesn't assist. So you have that slight hesitation before it all kicks in. What you need to do is be gentler with the throttle. Use even up to about 3/4 of the throttle and power comes in much better.
And the beauty about it is eco or comfort or sport. Dump your foot down and it always holds the gear all the way to the 6,000 mark, red line.
Yes, there are modes: Eco, Comfort, Sport and Individual, which allows you to play with the settings. Now, while there are differences and Sport does tighten up all the responses including throttle, steering and shifts, it is nice that even in Eco mode, it doesn't feel too muted.
The new C-Class has evolved in many ways. It's cleaner, greener and more luxurious on the inside. It is a big step forward. All models come with a 48-volt hybrid system. The new cabin is more spacious and luxurious. And then there's that huge S-Class screen and all the tech that comes with it. Even agility and handling are in another league. The petrol engine, normally the one to buy if you want performance, however, left us wanting. We would have liked it to be a bit more sporty. So in short, if you want more grunt, look at the 300D. However, overall, there's never been a C-Class that has moved the goalposts quite as much. And in many ways, this is a baby S-Class. Now, a lot depends on how Mercedes chooses to price it, but what you need to know is that the price will also probably take a huge leap upward, and it's likely to be 5 to 7 lakhs more than the current C. Well, the good things in life are always pricey, and one thing's for sure, this is clearly the best C-Class ever.